All right, so let's quickly discuss cherry eyes. So from the picture above, can loose eyelid cause cherry eyes in dogs? And it says yes, a loose, weak, or improperly formed third eyelid structure can cause cherry eye in dogs. Now let's quickly discuss a little about cherry eyes. It says this condition, a prolapse of the third eyelid gland, occurs when the connective tissues that hold the gland in place are weak, leading to a swollen pinkish red mass in the corner of the eyes. Now let's look at the key facts about cherry eye. It says cause. It is typically caused by genetic congenital weakness in the tissues. It is not generally caused by a simple skin level lower loose eyelid, but rather by the ligaments holding the inner third eyelid gland failing. Breeds affected, more common in younger dogs, and specific breeds like bulldogs, cocker spaniels, Lhasa Apsos, and mastiffs. If you can look at it well, you can see that the loose eyelid and the cherry eyes are quite connected. They are connected, they are intertwined. And I'm going to tell you why. The loose eyelid already gives space for cherry eyes to be manifested. So back to the discourse of today. Is cherry eyes normal in Cane Corsos? Is loose eyelid normal in Cane Corsos? And I will say to you that the answer is no. And let's go back to history. Back to history, in the years 1970s to the 1980s, the Cane Corso breed was very, very extinct. It was scarce and it was almost getting extinct. And breeders around the world felt like, wow, what should we do? Should we line breed with the few specimens available and gradually, after careful line breeding, we gradually have these specimens coming back around us? And then some other group of breeders were like, well, since the demand is high, we think there are shortcuts to getting this breed. And then those other set of breeders now came up with the idea of creating Cane Corsos from other breeds that were existent at that time. Now, back to history, about 2,000 years back, the Cane Corsos originated from old Roman Molossi dogs that were used to fight wars. We have the Canis Pugnas and we have the Abrazo shepherd dogs. The Cane Corsos originally came from this breed. Now, fast forward to the 70s and the 80s, where the breed became scarce, and then some backyard breeders were like, well, I think we can mix this breed together to give the Cane Corso. Majority of those breeders now started introducing Neapolitan mastiffs. They started breeding Neapolitan mastiffs to some other breeds, to one way or the other create something that looks like Cane Corso. Now, it's important to note that Neapolitan mastiffs and Cane Corsos have very similar ancestors, but they were not bred the same way. So they are distinctively different. The Neapolitan mastiffs were now used to create Cane Corsos. So some people have school of thought that Neapolitan mastiffs were mixed with boxers, were mixed with some bulldogs, with some breeding to produce Cane Corsos. And that is where the problem is. Now I am going to take you back to the FCI breed standards. And the FCI is the most trusted body for dog history. Yes. Now let's go to the breed standard of the Neapolitan Mastiff. We come down to where we have entropion, stroke ectropion. And at the beginning of this video, I told you that ectropion is the scientific name for loose eyelid. So according to the FCI knows that there are some Neapolitan Mastiffs that may come with ectropion, also known as loose eyelid. So what did they say? It says that the entropion and the ectropion are disqualifying faults in the Neapolitan Mastiff. So what does that imply? That implies that the FCI is aware that ectropion can come in Neapolitan Mastiff, even if it comes as a fault. The FCI is aware that ectropion can be seen in some Neapolitan Mastiffs. That is to show you that it is, I would not say normal, but it can be found in the Neapolitan Mastiff. Now, let us look for the breed standard for the Cane Corso and see if it has anywhere in it that says ectropion can be found in the breed. Stay with me. Let's scan through the breed standard for the Cane Corso to see if there is anywhere in the breed standard that talks about having the loose eyelid. Now let's go to the eyes. The eyes of the Cane Corso, look at it up. It says medium sized, slightly protruding, but never exaggerated, close to ovoid in shape, that is almost oval in shape, set well apart in an almost subfrontal position. Eyelids close fitting. That means that the eyelid is fitted closely. There is no loose skin, there is no loose eyelid. It says the eyelid close fitting. The eyelids close fitting. The color of the iris is as dark as possible, but according to the coat color, expression is keen and attentive. Now, let's go to the faults of, let's go to the severe faults and disqualifying faults of the Cane Corsos. So, look at it, scan through, and tell me if there is anywhere that it says ectropion is a fault. Now, I'm going to tell you why it is like this. I'm going to tell you why ectropion is a fault in the Neapolitan Mastiff, and it's not even anywhere written in the Cane Corso breed standard. And the reason is because, judging with ideal specimens of this breed, it has been found that Neapolitan Mastiffs sometimes have loose eyelid, which is a fault, and that is why it is stated that it is a fault in Neapolitan Mastiff. The Neapolitan Mastiff sometimes usually have loose eyelid, which is the ectropion. And because it has ectropion, then cherry eye can come to play. But you will not see anywhere in the Cane Corso breed standard that says the Cane Corso might have ectropion or loose eyelid, whether by normalcy or by fault. Now, what does that imply? It implies that the loose eyelid or the cherry eye is not in any way related to an ideal Cane Corso. So now, but you can ask me and say, but why do we have a lot of Cane Corsos now that have the cherry eyes? Is it genetics? Is it this? Is it that? Remember that earlier I spoke about the Cane Corsos being reformed by some backyard breeders in the late 90s, where they introduced Neapolitan Mastiff to their breeding program. Neapolitan Mastiff, Boxers, Bull Mastiff, and then Great Dane, and then some other Mastiff dogs, to produce something that looks like Cane Corsos. Obviously, and now let me now tell you something. Do you know that such productions were backed up by the AKC? And that is one of the problems we have today in the Cane Corso breed. That is why we have a lot of totally different looking specimens that are all called Cane Corsos. And that is why some people say, oh, there is the traditional type and there is the modern type. You can never see a traditional Cane Corso that has loose eyelids or cherry eyes. It is a taboo. The FCI does not even recognize it as a normalcy or a fault. So if you have cherry eyes in your Cane Corso's dog, check the pedigree very well, study the pedigree very well, and see where the fault came from.